let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team who, unfortunately, I think has been historically bad at drafting and developing the wide receiver position. This is a team that has never had a Pro Bowler outside of two people making in the returner role as a wide receiver, Nick. But I think that is all about to change because it seems that the Ravens maybe have struck gold with their latest draft pick. And I think Baltimore Ravens fans should really stay tuned because this is going to be a really great story for them.
Miles, I agree with you 100%. They finally got it right by all the reports. This is exciting stuff at the wide receiver position for the Baltimore Ravens. But before we get into that news that you dug up, Ravens fans, got an interesting question for you today, as always, for you guys to answer in the comment section below. Who is the fastest Baltimore Raven in team history? There's a lot of interesting names on the list, a lot of great Ravens, a lot of guys who had a lot of speed on some Super Bowl runs, so kickoff returners potentially maybe at the top of that list. Whoever it is, give us the fastest Baltimore Raven, in your opinion, in the comment section below. All right, Miles, what you got? What's this latest update out of Baltimore?
Yeah, Nick. So I love Zay Flowers. I think he was a really great pickup. But, I love him even more every day as historical figures in the wide receiver community come out and give him praise and talk about how great he potentially could be. And let's get into that. I'm going to let the Ravens fans hear that as well. This was from over on the Yard Barker. It says the Ravens has very high expectations for the 2023 season, and it is likely because of their new-looking wide receiver group. However, former NFL wide receiver James Jones believes there's a clear wide receiver number one. Jones says that rookie wide receiver Zay Flowers has reportedly looked like Baltimore's best wide receiver, and it isn't even close. The 22-year-old has already received comparisons to great players such as Antonio Brown, Deshaun Jackson, and Stephon Diggs before playing a snap in the NFL. If Flowers is anything like them, Baltimore got a steal at pick number 22. At Boston College, Flowers had 78 catches for 1,077 yards and 12 touchdowns in 2022. Pro Football Focus called him the best pure separator in the draft class, which is why some NFL scouts believe Flowers could end the season as wide receiver number one for the Ravens in terms of targets. Now, Nick, I think this is excellent news because, like I said, it is not very often the Baltimore Ravens fans get to hear these levels of praise for wide receivers that they have drafted. We all remember the Brashad Perrymans of the world, guys that looked like they could have been there, just really didn't pan out. This guy truly seems like he is the real deal, and I think he can do just about anything that Todd Monken wants him to do in this offense. But Nick, I'm curious, what do you think about Flowers, and what does this mean for the greater Baltimore team?
Miles, I love the fact you brought up Perryman. I'm throwing even Hollywood Brown into that mix as well. Even though he had a solid career as a Baltimore Raven, I have not heard this kind of comments out of any Ravens wide receiver, certainly a young guy in a very long time. And frankly, we don't hear these kind of comments involving Zay Flowers out of virtually any rookie wide receiver who doesn't go on to do special things. So that's obviously a great sign for the Baltimore Ravens. And look, it's not just what we're seeing from external reports. There's some internal clues too that he may already be gearing up to be a wide receiver one kind of player. In fact, Zay Flowers reportedly, when asked about it, he said he's played all three positions so far in Monken's offense at the wide receiver position. Now, what that means he's going to play the X, which is a wide receiver on the perimeter on the line of scrimmage. He could play the Z, wide receiver on the perimeter off the line of scrimmage, or he could play the Y, which is your standard slot receiver. Now, what that means is that essentially Monken is literally gearing him up to run the entire route tree, the entire route package. Because obviously where you are, whether it's the X, Y, or Z, there's certain route combinations and routes you're going to run. Other combinations won't run the same routes. And X has a certain amount of routes. Y has a different set of routes, things like that. Monken wants Zay Flowers to know how to execute well all the routes. You don't see that from guys that aren't wide receiver ones. CeeDee Lamb for the Dallas Cowboys is that same way. He's kind of a slot receiver by trade, but he lines up all over the field. He knows how to do everything. Justin Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings, exactly the same way. Jamar Chase for the Cincinnati Bengals, same way. Stephon Diggs, Buffalo Bills, very similar there too. This is exactly what the Baltimore Ravens have been looking for such a long time. I know it's early. I know there's a lot of consternation in Baltimore right now about the wide receiver position. There always is. It seems to be just a snake-bitten franchise at wide receiver. But this Zay Flowers kid, he looks 100% special. This kid is the real deal. I don't think he's going to be wide receiver one at the end of the year, Mize. I think he already is. I agree with James Jones.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is great news for Baltimore, and I like it because I like to hear all of these great things, but I like to hear it from their mouth as well. And I love the comments that Zay Flowers said just earlier this week about how how he does not care how he gets the ball. Anytime he gets it, he feels like he can help this team out. And he says, I just want to touch the ball. I don't care how. Whether it's screens, deep balls, intermediate routes, shallow crosses, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm touching the ball, I feel confident that I can help out this team. And that's the other thing I want to hear, Nick, because we all did hear Hollywood Brown. He was a pretty productive receiver for Baltimore, but there were, cries during the season. He kept it pretty professional, and I respect that as well. But that he wanted the ball more. He felt like he wasn't being utilized correctly, etc., etc. And that is probably going to change drastically in Monken's offense. I don't think anyone's going to feel that way anymore compared to a Greg Roman-led offense. But I love that Zay Flowers says he doesn't care how he gets the ball. He doesn't care what way he gets the ball. As long as he's getting touches, he feels like he can help the team. And if he helps the team, I think this is going to be a special Ravens run going down the stretch.